Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient slash survivor. Been dealing with cancer since early 2021, doing absolutely fantastic, and I'm so happy to be here. And I am so thankful for every single day, every single breath, because we are indeed blessed to be able to open our eyes on a daily basis and enjoy this beautiful thing that we call life. And it's something to be appreciated. We only go around once, so it's imperative that we make the very, very most of our journey. And things are going very, very well. It's starting to get hot here in Texas, but we're also getting a lot of rain. Every week it's been raining, which is kind of crazy as far as what all the locals are saying. They say they haven't seen this much rain in decades, but it's all good. We've got great neighbors. We live in a nice neighborhood, and we're very, very happy with low gas prices, no state tax, clean neighborhoods, and things of that nature. But anyway, things are going great. And if you hadn't seen, take a look at my video. I did give an update video on the last post about things that are going on, so you can catch up with me there. But I am so excited to have an incredible guest today from my home state of California. In fact, she lives in the city that I was born in Santa Monica, California. So I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be able to introduce Judith Anne Desjardins. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then let's get this thing rocking.
Okay, I have got a little summary of my intro just to keep on track and speed things along. I know that Mark usually starts with who is, so I fill this out. Who is Judith Anne Desjardins? Well, there's many layers to who I am. Most importantly, I am a child of God, a wife who celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary recently, a mother of a grown son and grown daughter, a grandmother to my nearly 17-year-old grandson and granddaughter. On another layer, I am a holistic psychotherapist who treats body, mind, emotions, and spirit. I'm a writer and the author of 2 books and a publisher. I am an educator, a blogger, and video producer with 2 websites and a YouTube channel promoting a holistic approach to therapy and cancer recovery. And in terms of my cancer experience, it spans my work as an oncology social worker in the 1970s, coaching my husband through his stage 3B prostate cancer diagnosed in 2011. And then I started my own journey with pancreas cancer, which was diagnosed in 2020. But on the most simple level, I love God with all my being and love to serve him with the gifts I was given. I love nature, animals, gardening, cooking, writing, working with people, quiet time, and my family and friends. I am a contemplative introvert.
What is a contemplative introvert?
Well, first of all, a contemplative, that's what I meant to say. I'm a contemplative introvert. That means I'm kind of a philosopher, spiritual person at heart. It's like the core of my being. And introverts are people that feel most grounded and most balanced when they're alone and by themselves, where extroverts need people and activity to energize themselves. An introvert gets pooped at the party and goes home and settles down. So, but I also love working with people. So I just have to balance quiet and social time.
So you're a conflicted introvert then?
No, I've learned to be a very balanced one. I
Okay.
go out and I'm with people, and then I come back and recharge myself, and I need lots of quiet time, and then I go back out, back and forth.
Okay. That sounds good to me. That's beautiful. So you live in Santa Monica, which
Yeah.
is a beautiful town, has one of my two of my absolute favorite places to eat. And that's Erewhon and True Foods. I
Hmm.
love I love both of those places. And if you haven't been there, I suggest that you go. Um, when we go back to California, Erewhon's an organic market, and they have their own in-house prepared food section. And it is delicious. And
I'll
so
check it out.
when we go back there, I try to go there every day. I just absolutely love it. It's not cheap, but it's really, really good. Really good.
All right.
So, but anyway, that's aside from everything. So let's talk about your cancer story. Um, how did that start?
It was at the very start of COVID, and I started noticing a cluster of about 6 symptoms. I had reflux. I had a strange taste in my mouth. I had extreme bloating, abdominal bloating. But the most disturbing thing was that I lost 10 pounds in a short period of time. And then my muscles, like in the arm, upper thighs, and stomach, started getting like I was suffering from malnutrition. The muscle tone was gone, and this sagging skin, and I'm a very athletic person, so that was just not that wasn't me at all. So I went to an internist, and this happened to be a young new internist, and she did a physical, listened to my different sounds and whatever, and she said, I don't see anything that would explain these symptoms. Let me run some blood work. She ran the blood work, and she said, I don't feel anything. I don't see anything. I think you're just eating too much kale and doing so much exercise. Come back and see me in 3 months. And I said to myself, no, I won't go back to see you, and I will see someone else because something is wrong with me. So I went to my husband's internist, and he said, I ran the same blood work, did the same manual examination of your body. I don't see anything, but I think you should see a gastroenterologist. So I found a lady gastroenterologist. She did the same preliminary, had the same preliminary thoughts, but she said, but I won't ignore your symptoms. So I would like you to have an endoscopy with ultrasound. She said at first I was going to suggest we do a colonoscopy, but this sounds like it's upper digestive tract. And so that colonoscopy with ultrasound, where they're actually able to not only examine the pancreas through the wall of the stomach, if they needed to take a biopsy or something, they would have been able to do it with that particular specialist. So they saw something in the tail of my pancreas that looked suspicious. Then they ran a CT and it said 99% probability of a malignant cancer. And within 3 weeks, I went into surgery for what they call a distal pancreatectomy. The pancreas is shaped, the body and head are like that, and then the tail goes up. And mine was in a very small tumor, blocking the pancreatic duct, which releases digestive enzymes and insulin. And so they took out the tail of the pancreas and the spleen as a precautionary measure because it shares the same blood flow, and 8 lymph nodes, and it came back that I had adenocarcinoma of the pancreas.
So what's going through your mind through this initial process here?
I knew that something was wrong because I'm intricately connected to my body, always have been. And I have a great spiritual intuition about something. I knew something was wrong. And as soon as I found out it was cancer, it was like, well, let's get rid of it. And the surgeon told me that he had clear margins all the way around, and he expected that they had gotten all of it, but as a precautionary insurance, I should get chemotherapy. So that was my next stop. And they initially said, well, there's 3 different levels of chemo. There's like a 1 drug, Gemsar, which is the one I went on. There's a double cocktail and there's a triple cocktail. But because you're only stage 1, we think that you'll be okay on just Gemsar. And my body is extremely sensitive to medication and even like strong herbs and Indian chai and stuff like that. So the first round of chemo wiped out my whole immune system. And I didn't know that. And I had run that weekend 2 days of 2 hours of running and walking. And they said, when you come in, we can't give you an infusion today. You should have been in the hospital, and we're going to have to lower the dose.
Wow.
The next round of chemo ended up blowing out a vein in my left arm, which caused a thrombophlebitis, where it was like 3 times the normal size of an arm. And so we couldn't use that arm anymore. And I had said, I will take chemotherapy if I can have it in my veins, but I will not get a port, and I do not want a PICC line. And so my right arm really did the duty of 7 more infusions. They had originally said that they wanted me to take something like 15, but then they said, well, hardly anybody takes the standard protocol, and we adjusted according to the person.
Yes. I just interviewed a woman not too long ago. She had 30 rounds of chemo, and 38 rounds of radiation. And so, I mean, I hear stories, it just blows my mind what some people go through. And you know, I was similar to you. I had 6 rounds of chemo. And the very first round, I was really sick. And I said, man, if I'm this sick the second time, I said, forget it. And from the second through the sixth, I had no problem at all. And so, yeah, I know exactly what you mean by the way your body reacts. And everybody is different.
Right.
Everybody reacts different, is at a physical health stage that's different. And so people who haven't gone through cancer need to realize that there's so many different factors involved as far as cancer goes. Go
And
ahead.
what you also have to learn is that you have to know your own body and you have to advocate for yourself. As a former oncology social worker, it was my job to coordinate the whole treatment team for my patients. And I already knew about hospitals. I knew about hospital medical terminology, different specialists, etc. So when I came through as a quasi oncology social worker of my own treatment that I determined. God and I were the head of my treatment plan, and each doctor was part of my team. And I would make decisions. Like I said, I told them I would take IV infusions, but I did not personally want a port over my heart center, and I didn't want a PIC. And so they allowed me to do that until my vein just couldn't accept it anymore. And coincidentally, I had developed blood clots in the bottom of both lungs. So it was like, and I was supposed to go for 2 more infusions. And the doctor said, well, I think we've reached our point of, you know, stopping your chemo at that point. But another other ways that I intervened for myself was that at first I was getting chemo 1 time a week. Once every weeks, and then 1 off, the 4th off. And I said, my body will do better if I have it once every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And then I got to a point where I said, my body wants once every 3 weeks. And fortunately, the oncologist worked with that, and we did that.
And you bring up a great point, is what you were doing here is you were taking control of your cancer journey, which people need to know that they could do. And because you're the one in charge, you're the patient. It's, you know, not strictly the doctor's decision, but it's your decision. And it's your decision because it's your life.
Well, also because of my background as a holistic psychotherapist and a person who has been living holistically for over 40 years, I was involving my body, my mind, my emotion, and my spirit, and came up with my own anti-cancer treatment approach for an anti-cancer diet, extensive, super clean, plant-based, whole food diet, exercise 5 days a week, alternating between running, walking, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, spirituality, praying. I came up with a whole protocol that the medical system doesn't give you. And this is a really important point. And I stress that on my website, which we can talk about later, which is holisticcancerrecoveryhub.com, in which I educate people about it is your responsibility and your honor to be in charge of your complete treatment. You cannot give your body to the medical establishment and say, well, let's hope for the best, because I can tell you it won't be the best. And when people tap into their own personal power of their mind, like I know from your interviews that I've listened to that you said, there's no way I'm going to die. I don't accept that. I had the same point of view. I'm going to use my emotions. I want to know, and I know as a psychotherapist intricately about all my emotions, and the cancer journey constantly spins through all, from the dark to the light to the up, the down. It's just constantly, and you have to know them and not be ashamed of your vulnerability and your fear and confusion and depression, as well as your good emotions. You have to address them. You have to own them, or else you will spin your body into a fight, flight, immobilization response, which increases inflammation, decreases the ability of the immune system, invites cancer to find this body is very hospitable for me. You know, I can grow and replicate. And my job is like, no, I'm going to make my body as inhospitable as possible on every level: body, mind, emotion, and spirit. Cancer, I don't even see it as an enemy anymore. I just see it as this mindless organism that wants to replicate. And
You brought up,
giving,
let me pause you right there. You brought
yeah,
up something that I've talked about extensively. So many people, when they are diagnosed with cancer, think that the only thing involved with cancer is going to the doctor and getting whatever treatment that they have, whether it's radiation or chemo or immunotherapy or whatever it may be. And your point about hitting, and this is what I've preached for ever since I've, been on this channel, is there's so many different facets, and you just touched on them, so many different facets to the cancer journey that do need to be addressed. And you talked about the mind and the diet and the spiritual and all these different things. Have you read the book by Kelly Turner, Radical Remissions?
no.
You would really like that book. You would really like that book. I read that book probably 2 years into my journey, and I couldn't put it down
Mm.
because she was talking about all of this, and she interviewed countless survivors, and she came up with a list of 9 things that these survivors all had in common. And I see the same thing. I know you see the same thing as well, that, they have the will, their mind is strong, they have the desire to live, have a great diet, spiritual, all these different things. I mean, and I would recommend that to anybody out there watching this. Radical Remissions by Kelly Turner. And I know people on that have been part of their website, and I have friends of mine that actually have talked to her and things like that. But it's really a great book, and it's something that I recommend to especially people who have just been diagnosed with cancer. It's a great starting point for them. But it also has, you would look into it more deeply because of your experience and what you've been through, and you just say, yeah, this is it's really a great book. So that's something
That's a
you,
great resource. I'll put
yes,
it on my website.
yes, absolutely,
When you're
absolutely.
saying that I believe in these things, it's not just that I believe in them, but as I have continued on my journey, I had the chemo, I finished chemo, I was tumor free, or the oncologist said, the cancer is gone, it's never coming back. Well, after 30.5 months, it did come back. A small piece of the original cancer landed in my liver. Same size, I just make these little tiny cancers. And then I was at a new level of the cancer experience where the doctors kept saying, this is very dire. This is very dire. You should immediately start systemic chemotherapy. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, I want to find out what else is available to me. And the tumor board had sat with, well, she could have surgery, she could have radiation, she could have chemo. And they wasted a month of my time where my CA 19-9 markers went from 500 to 2,202 before one lone doctor in the tumor board raised its hand and said, I think I have something to offer. Well, what is it? I'm an interventional radiologist, and I believe that we can do an ablation of the tumor. And the response was, but we don't do ablations for pancreas cancer patients. And I said, why the hell not? That's what I'm going to do. And so this was an external intervention where they put the probes through your skin into the liver, and with a radio frequency, they burn the cancer. And I was told at the end of the ablation, well, you need to go right into systemic chemotherapy. And I said, no, I'm going to give myself a month to see what my body can do with this. And they said, but your CA 19-9s are so high, it will take a long, long time for the numbers to decrease. Within 3 weeks, it had gone from 2,202 to 275, then 95, then in the 50s. And it's a year since I've had the ablation. So I personally have experienced definable, measurable results from doing a holistic approach to cancer. It's not only a good idea, but it saves lives. And that's what prompted me to launch my website, because I saw when I would go for checkups in oncology, I would see people just sitting there like, and walking into the infusion rooms and coming out like,
Call them The Walking Dead.
yes, exactly. And I thought, these people need to know that they can empower themselves, that they can impact the outcome of their treatment. And they will not hear it from the surgeon, the oncologist, the radiologist. And then I hit another level of my cancer in the last month. I started experiencing the very same wasting, malnourishment symptoms I had at initial diagnoses. And I said, what's going on here? My blood work is fine. Everything's going fine. No tumors. What's going on? And finally, I inquired with my surgeon. I said, I think something's wrong with my pancreas. I need to know, could you do it? And how, if I need it, could you do the surgery? And how soon could you schedule it? Because I didn't want to be caught in another month of waiting. And he said, has anyone ever told you about pancreatic enzyme replacement therapy? And I said, no. He said, you can take these pills, which will replicate the digestive enzymes that your pancreas is not producing enough of, and it will reverse the symptoms. But I was 4 years in the system without anyone telling me that I would probably need them, that it was common. As soon as I had a consult with a nutritionist, she said nearly every pancreas patient, whether they have a whole one, whether their pancreas, you have 60% left, whether they have it all removed, everyone will generally need these enzyme replacement pills. And taking the first, I call them the happy pills because I'm a foodie and I love to eat, reversed all of that. And nobody in the system told me about it.
Judith, let me step in here a second. Would you like to come back and shoot a part 2 of this? Because we have a lot more to discuss.
I'd love to. I'd love
Okay,
to.
let's do that. And so to wrap up today, what would be your final thought that you would like to leave everybody with?
My thought is that there are a lot of needless cancer deaths because people are uninformed, because they don't know the power, the inherent power of the body to heal itself, and the power of these holistic approaches of mind, body, emotions, spirit, exercise, diet. All of these things have measurable, dramatic impact on what happens with your cancer. And besides that, when you start doing it, you're so proud of yourself. We are endowed with these abilities, and the world just needs to be educated. Therefore, on my website, I am making smoothies. I am making digestible soups. I am doing all these things and demonstrating to patients how to do it. Because if you go to a nutritionist, you just get a paper that says, these are the food groups. Cancer patients are very vulnerable and very weak in the beginning, and they need things made easy. So watching a video of a cancer patient preparing their vegetables, chopping them, putting them in food processor, juicer, making meals is a wonderful thing. So I invite people to come to my website and see me first day out of surgery, me in chemotherapy, me at the MRI, me in my anti-cancer kitchen, me with my therapy assistant cat Hopi taking care of me and being like a little nurse for me. I've a wonderful array of things to share with the world.
Awesome, awesome. And we're gonna talk more about that in part 2 next time. And
Thank
so I
you.
have one last question for you before we close off. We live in a world today that's very divisive, and it's very hard. Our world is very hard to navigate for so many people. In fact, I think everybody is pretty much affected. My question for you is, how would you make this world a better place for everyone?
First of all, you have to start with yourself, and you have to love and care for yourself. And as you get that admiration and self-love, you are naturally filled with love to share with other people. And if you look at the big world, it's overwhelming. But if you start with your neighborhood, I have a little free library. I set out bowls to water the dogs. I give away fruit that grows in my garden. All these little things that you do. I know that you and I are both doing education through websites, LinkedIn, YouTube, and whatever. That puts out love that has no boundaries, has no division, loving people, animals, the planet. All of that is positive, and it's a light that goes out and it attracts other light. And that light, as we come together, gets larger and larger and blesses the world and shifts the paradigm of good versus evil if you just let it flow through yourself and serve others. But you have to start with loving yourself first.
Beautiful. Absolutely. That's a fantastic answer. Thank you. And thank you so much for your time. And I don't know, you're fooling me. I don't believe that you're an introvert, but because you shared some incredible things with us today. Thank you so much, Judith. And be on the lookout for another interview with Judith. I'd like to thank everyone here for joining us at To Be Your Own Hero. Please like, subscribe, make a comment in the comment section, and be blessed. Have a fantastic week. And we will see you next week on To Be Your Own Hero. And we're going to be, what is that you're showing us, Judith?
That's my holistic cancer recovery hub.com.
Okay, we're going to talk about that next time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you next week. Have a great week.